This was the week where MAGA Bachelor contestant Ted Cruz continued to try and win the final rose from Trump's base and gave pretty much a sermon about the right's latest monster under the bed, critical race theory.
Now, what is critical race theory? You know, just this week on Capitol Hill, I had a reporter run up to me. He thought he had a gotcha. He said, "Hey, what's critical race theory?" Apparently, he thought I would turn to him and say, "Gosh, I have no idea. I think it's really bad, but I just don't know what it is." You know, because, conservatives are morons and we don't know what we're talking about. Like, he really did think this was such a, boy, he really got you there. And I explained to him, I said, well, it's a theory that derives from Marxism. Karl Marx viewed the entire world as a conflict between classes, between the owners of capital and the working man and women, the proletariat, a fundamental battle in society. Critical race theory takes that same Marxist concept, except it replaces class with race. And it says all of America and all of the world is a battle between the races. Critical race theory says every white person is a racist. Critical race theory says America is fundamentally racist and irredeemably racist. Critical race theory seeks to turn us against each other, and if someone has a different color skin, seeks to make us hate that person. And let me tell you right now, critical race theory is bigoted, it is a lie, and it is every bit as racist as the Klansmen in white sheets.
Okay. Anti-racism is the real racism perfected. I was wondering
where the same people that said Antifa were fascists. That's the level that we're dealing with.
Exactly. No, it's white fragility in a speech. And initially when he was like, oh, I know what it means, blah, 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 you're not going to get me wrong. Like, he starts explaining Marxism, which critical race theory isn't, but like he does a pretty good job of explaining Marxism. And I was like, okay, yeah, it is a battle between the proletariat and those who own the means of production. And workers of the world unite, etc. And then he goes into this like digression and then kind of like flips it around. He sticks the landing of it is as racist as a Klansman. And I mean, we are in a moment. It's so crazy because like it is the biggest reach, obviously, because we're in a moment where like the Black Panther Party isn't a thing, sadly. We're not in the late 60s. We're not in this moment. We're actually in a moment where civil rights is incredibly massive. It's a movement that has caught on even in fucking corporate spheres of, yes, Black Lives Matter. Yes, we need to change the policing system in this country. And they're acting like we're in 68, man. And fucking the Panthers came on the scene or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like they need the boogeyman so big that they're completely out of place.
That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's a couple of things. It's one, oversimplification of things is how you trick anybody. If you can oversimplify a concept, then people don't have to deal with nuance. They don't even have to deal with it as true. You tell them enough to where they can kind of understand it, and then they can let their imaginations go from there. Like, if you oversimplify critical race theory and just say it's racial Marxism, then you can get people to believe, oh gosh, like studying something and saying that there's a race problem is exactly the same as actually physically burning a cross on someone's lawn and killing. Like, you can trick them into thinking that by simplifying it. And the second part of it is everyone wants to work hard and nobody wants to act like no one wants to think there's an asterisk towards any of their achievements. And I think in saying that, we've really done a bad job by Black people. Like, just the fact that Juneteenth is a thing should let you know that, like, hey, even mandated rules, people just chose not to follow, to carry them out because they didn't have to, because they felt like they didn't have to. And it's the kind of a thing of like, a lot of people are running a 100-meter dash, white people running a 100-meter dash, and that's difficult. You talk to anybody who trains for a 100-meter dash, it's difficult. You have to work hard. But at the same time, you're not working as hard as if you were running 100-meter hurdles.
Right. Or a marathon, right?
Exactly. It's like you're working hard, but you do not have physical hurdles in front of you. And like, no one's saying you're not working hard, but
that's
look at the facts.
That's such a good metaphor. That's exact. I mean, that's the thing is they believe their civil rights struggle is understanding the civil rights struggle. Like he's like their MLK of so-called reverse racism, because that's the same. Learning about racism and my white feelings is the same as actual racism and 250 years of slavery, 100 years of Jim Crow, etc.
Right.
I do want to just clarify what critical race theory is in a way that isn't out of Ted Cruz's mouth, but from one of the founders, Professor Kimberly Crenshaw, Black feminist pioneer of critical race theory. She said recently, critical race theory is a practice. It's an approach to grappling with a history of white supremacy that rejects the belief that what's in the past is in the past, and that the laws and systems that grow from the past are detached from it, right? What Ted Cruz is just saying, like, we need to forget the past. We need to live now. She teaches at UCLA and Columbia University. Critical race theorists believe that racism is an everyday experience for most people of color, and that a large part of society has no interest in doing away with it because it benefits white elites. Exactly what Maggie was just saying. And look, you don't need to read Kimberly Crenshaw's book about critical race theory to understand it. Summer is here. Just watch enough Karen videos calling the police on Black people going inside pools they don't think they should be in. Like, you'll get it. That's a whole semester right there.
I mean, it's like 2 seconds of thought. Like, yeah, laws have been changed, laws have been passed, but you can't pass any kind of a law that's going to change the hearts that caused that law to be necessary.
And I don't even think she was saying essentially the justice system is skewed towards criminalizing Black people in the favor of white Americans. We haven't even changed those laws recently, you know, like we're trying. And I know we're going to talk more about that. Before I bring in
the idea Steve, that like slavery being over changing racism, that's dumb, but I'm sorry.
No. Yeah, exactly. Yes. Right. It's over. Get over it. Hey, thanks so much for watching the Bitchuation Room podcast live stream. And while you're here, why don't you just subscribe to this channel? I promise it'll be good.